My name is Furphy, and I'm the chairman of the St. Francis Property Owners NPC, which is the SRA. We get a lot of questions about what we're doing. Some are very helpful, and obviously some are critical. And everybody has a right to that, especially where they are paying their levy. We have been as transparent as we possibly can with everything we do. Now, I'd like to discuss the benefits of the SRA. It starts with the cameras. Now, the cameras themselves were installed over 2 years ago, and they have had an amazing impact on the security of this town. We are not allowed to discuss a lot of what happens with those, because Atlas and ourselves and the other players like Calibre are governed by the Poppy Act. But I can assure you that the cameras are having a very positive effect in fighting crime, and we will find ways of, as we have committed before, to improving the service and to improve the technology as it develops, and which it surely will. Just over half, 52% of all cameras are situated inside the village area, within the SRA demarcated area. 28% of cameras are in the canal areas, and the balance of 20% are outside the demarcated area on the arterial roads leading into the village and the canal areas. The coverage we have, as you will be aware, includes 3 different types of cameras. License plate recognition, an artificial intelligence analytics camera, and a camera that can follow movement. And we have these positioned around the town in strategic places, and that has made it very effective. The second area of benefit are in the roads. As you know, we started with the village entrance as we felt that was an affordable place to start when it came to roads, and it would have a high impact in terms of a first impression. You'll see by now that that a lot of the vegetation there has grown, and we're getting a far more beneficial impact when one drives through that area. But I think more importantly is the work that the municipality have recently done on the arterial roads. Included in our project scope was the arterial roads from the village entrance, including Lime Road North, Lime Road South, and St. Francis Drive, from Lime Road North through to CC Drive. That was the scope of the road restoration. The municipality, in the recent work that they've done in resurfacing those roads, have completed about 40% of the identified roads in the demarcated area. The balance of what they did was outside it, which is really going a CC Drive up to Harbour Road and across Harbour Road for half a kilometre into Santorim, half a kilometre up towards Sea Vista, and 2 roads in Sea Vista themselves, which we were thrilled to see. So that leaves about 60% of the arterial road infrastructure left to do, which is essentially Lime Road South, Lime Road North, and the arterial roads will be complete. We did plan to include, and we will do that sometime in the future, things like pedestrian and cycling pathways, which we call the road furniture. Other road projects we had identified was the upgrade of several parking areas, including George Road, Ann Avenue, and some repairs to a couple of areas that had quite dangerous dips in them. One was just north of Lime Road North, and the other one was near Harbour Road, and those have been rectified. The third area is our third project, which is the River Spitton Beach, and obviously that's our biggest project, and obviously probably has the most benefit for the town. Without a beach, this town has very limited tourism appeal. We have to find a way of restoring our beach. It's 2.7 kilometers from the Kromme River mouth to Main Beach, and the entire length of that beach has been lost. There's an awful lot of money that's been spent on revetments by private property owners along the way to protect their properties, and these will continue to be an expensive spend by many of those property owners. We're all aware of what's happened to the spit, and the spit was going to go, and it did go in a number of places, and if anybody thought that we weren't facing a crisis, I think they understand what sort of crisis that is now, and how important it is to construct our long-term solution. The long-term solution was the preliminary design for it was done by Advisian, and that was published back in February 2018. Since then, we've been doing an EIA, and we are not too far from the final submission. We were required to do additional surveys on the river to look at the impact of our solution on the northern side of the river mouth as well as the Paradise beaches. And once Advisian have worked that into their solution, that our EIA will be submitted. I think everybody's clear that the long-term solution needs to start fairly urgently. The only thing that stops it starting is having sufficient money to do that. And we have a number of different sources of funding that we have focused on and continue to focus on. Probably a key player in the funding of both the roads and the beach restorations, the municipality. They've spent probably in excess of 10 million to date in the first 2 years to really address the issue on the spit, which is the emergency plan that we jointly developed with them, and that is going a long way to buying us some time to enable us to start on our growing fields and moving some 1 million cubes of sand back from the river onto that beach, and providing us with at least 40 meters of beach and pushing the sea off those revetments. One of the primary reasons that we embarked on the SRA was the declining property values that St. Francis Bay had experienced over the past decade or more. Many people who invest and buy in property in this town buy it as a second or third or multiple home. It's a holiday home, and as such the investment value of this property is important to them. Others that do retire here, it might not be as important, and that we understand. But for the bulk of investors, which is between 80 and 85% of property owners, don't live here, and for this town to be a viable destination for investment, it's important that property values at least keep up with inflation, and if not, are among the better investments in our country. We think since the SRA came into play that property valuations, property prices have improved and started recovering. And one thing about the COVID pandemic, where a lot of people came to stay and really got some benefit out of living in the town for more than just a holiday season, is that people have been deciding to move here on a more permanent basis. So there's been a lot of demand for property, and that in itself drives up the value of our real estate in St. Francis Bay. I just want to come back to funding and saying that in going forward, the critical thing that we have to raise is sufficient funding to restore the beach, the spit and the river. The Kromme River Estates are collecting funding to contribute. So is the Kromme Joint River Committee. The same applies to the Riparians, or the canal homeowners, where they have been setting aside funding for it as well. The municipality is very aware of the obligations to these projects, and are spending more than what we had originally agreed with them. We obviously need to go for further funding if we want to accelerate the process, and a number of people have approached me about a second round of donations, which we are thinking about, and how to best go about it. And finally, there are other government institutions that have obligations to, particularly the restoration of the beach. That's national government, being National Treasury, the DIRT, and so on. And we are making some efforts with the municipality to open up a dialogue with them.